So the issue of Jamaicans crossing the U.S. border illegally has again made news. Countries in Central America have heightened their immigration surveillance, which could affect lawful and unlawful travelers. Will affect unlawful travelers for sure. Attorney at law Dahlia Walker-Huntington joins us this morning for this discussion. Good morning, Dahlia. Thank you for being here.
Morning, Ms. Dales.
See you both again.
Good to see you. Good to see you. So give us a high level of what's happening here. I mean, we've heard about this in the past. Here we go again. Not that it ever stopped, but why is it now suddenly front and center and squarely on the radar?
Well, because the numbers have increased, Jamaicans have been ingenious in finding ways to reach the United States over the years. But for the past year and a half, 2 years probably, there has definitely been an increase in the number of Jamaicans coming into the U.S. through third countries. And because of this, it has the radars on these third countries have gone off. Belize, Panama, Mexico. And what this does, as you've said in your introduction, is put persons who are traveling with legitimate reasons to these countries under stricter scrutiny as they present themselves at the borders of these third countries.
Okay, so I'm trying to get to the United States and I go through Panama or wherever. Do I get to Panama legally first and then try to get to the United States illegally? Is that what happens?
Yes, you would have to be admitted into Panama or one of the other third countries, and then through illegal means try to cross the border, the southern border, into the United States.
I want to know some more about this ingenuity, because let me tell you, Jamaicans will do it every time, no matter how foolproof it is. What are some of the more, you said ingenious, bizarre ways that you've heard of this happening? I know people sometimes lose their lives trying to do this.
Absolutely. People from many of the countries in the Southern Hemisphere have been doing this lately, and it's a very dangerous trip to undertake. Entire families are doing it, mothers with children. And so they oftentimes pay coyotes, they're called smugglers, to take them on this journey through the dangerous parts of Central America, through Mexico, to the U.S. border. Sometimes they're abandoned along the way. Sometimes they're robbed along the way. So it's a very, very dangerous journey. But, you know, Simone, people are desperate, not only from Jamaica, but from other parts of South and Central America to flee various forms of persecution, humanitarian conditions, financial conditions that are so desperate that they think this is their only alternative. Yep. And so while we ask people not to do this, we have to then look to what is the push factor. What is causing people to do this, whether it's from El Salvador, Guatemala, now Jamaica in an increasing number, and try to address those issues to stop this really terrifying method of getting into the United States.
The Biden administration recently said that if you go through a third country and you didn't ask to stay there, then they won't allow you to come to the United States. Will that stop them? Will that help?
Well, a vast majority of the people who are coming are not presenting themselves at the border to a Customs and Border Patrol officer and say, I would like to enter, I'm seeking asylum. They're crossing the border at unmanned points. So in the minds of a lot of people, once they get into the United States, once they get on land, undetected, they're okay. But that's only half the journey. Now they're in the United States. The question is, what options are there available to them to legalize themselves while they're in the United States? And they'll find that those options are very slim, very small number of options available. So again, we just ask people to try to find legal methods to migrate, try not to live in the moment. And they listen to other people who have made it, who say, come man, it's easy, but it's not. And so think twice, 3 times, 4 times before you really embark on this journey. Because yes, you are making it bad for other people who legitimately want to travel to these other Central American countries, but you also have to think about your life, the lives of the people who are traveling with you how you're putting them at stake when you're trying to make that illegal border crossing.
And so in the case of Jamaica, what are your insights? Because the Minister of Foreign Affairs is saying figures validated by PICA show that between 2018 and 2023, just over 140 Jamaicans were refused entry into Mexico, and another 2,000 plus were refused entry into Panama, and a further 81 deported. So is it your information that we are trying to use these channels in an increased way?
Colloquially, yes, we are hearing those stories. The newspapers in Jamaica have also carried stories of persons, the difficulties that they've had at the border coming in, fleeing different communities and actually meeting some of the people they're fleeing, also fleeing Jamaica. So this is why I say the push factor needs to be addressed. We need to figure out, why are these people now in increasing numbers risking their lives to flee Jamaica? And they are fleeing for various reasons. And so every country has their own border patrol, border protection. And so the countries that you've listed, Belize and Panama, they know that people are entering, Jamaicans are entering, but they're not exiting the country. And so they're not in the country. So they must be leaving through some other means other than the legal method of returning to Jamaica. And so these numbers would be privy to the government of Jamaica, and the minister has disclosed this. And so from her disclosure, along with incidents of persons in the US who are not only contacting private attorneys, but who are going through organizations that are at the border trying to help people, we are hearing more and more that Jamaicans are in fact making this dangerous journey trying to get to the United States.
Whereas, Mrs. Walker-Huntington, I can understand people coming from other countries or some other countries that might say, yeah, I'm persecuted. If I stay here, things will happen to me. What would a Jamaican tell the people in the United States why they can't stay in Jamaica? I mean, what good reason would they have that the United States would say, oh, okay, you can stay here because I understand what you're saying?
The same stories, Neville, the same stories. There are people in Jamaica who have to leave everything behind, what little they have, flee from their communities because of gang violence, political persecution. We don't want to admit it, but these things happen to Jamaicans. And so they put everything on the line, and they're fleeing to find a safe haven, because if they flee from Kingston to Montego Bay, they believe that they will be followed there and they will be persecuted there. And gang violence is a major part of why people are fleeing Jamaica, because of these conflicts that are not being resolved by the security forces in Jamaica. And so they have to leave. In order to claim asylum, a person has to show that they've been persecuted in the past on account of race, religion, nationality, membership in a particular social group or political opinion, and that they face a well-founded fear of future persecution based on those enumerated factors. And so Jamaicans have been granted asylum in the United States for various reasons. It is not an easy, certainly not an easy claim to make, because the judges, for the most part, are preconditioned into thinking what Jamaica is. And so to put a case like that together, you have to document it severely. And so people find that getting here is just half of the issue.
Final question. If this continues unabated, what do you think is the worst case scenario for us?
Well, the government to government, it has to be worked out. The governments of these countries are already putting in place certain mechanisms to ensure. I read a few weeks ago that Belize is now ensuring that Jamaicans who are coming to Belize have return tickets, that they have verifiable hotel reservations that are paid, And so everybody, I think, going to Belize is going to undergo stricter inspection at the airport to ensure that their visit is a legitimate visit, and at the end of the stated time, they will return to Jamaica. So it's going to increase the scrutiny for all travelers going to these third countries.
All right. Thanks, Ms. Dales. Stay safe. God bless you. And thanks for speaking with us this morning.
Oh, it's my pleasure as always. Have a great day.
Bye-bye. Attorney at Law, Dahlia Walker-Huntington.
All right, folks. So after the break, we have a chat with a couple who recently tied the knot. Me and her soon.